Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at two pretty advanced fighter jets, the Chinese J-10C and the French Rafale.
Right. And this whole comparison really kicked off, didn't it, when a Pakistani lawmaker started asking questions?
Exactly. Questioning their purchase of the J-10C, especially with India getting the Rafale. So, a direct comparison seemed inevitable.
And we've got reports, some expert takes, especially after they held joint exercises and people started making these head-to-head claims.
So our goal here, our mission, if you like, is to unpack the main differences. What are the strengths of each plane?
Okay, so starting point, that Pakistani perspective. The lawmaker basically said, is this J-10C really better than our F-16s? Is it even close to the Rafale? It's out right out of the gate.
Yeah, but then you have the Chinese view, particularly after those exercises. Their experts were suggesting that the J-10C, maybe alongside the J-11B, could effectively simulate India's jets.
Simulate the Rafale and the Su-30s. Yeah, one Chinese aviation expert specifically pointed out similarities, size, aerodynamics, even avionics and weapons loadout, basically saying they're in the same league.
Right, the overall combat capability. So quite different takes there.
It really is. And that's why digging into the expert analysis, the more sort of technical comparisons, is interesting. Let's start with thrust and agility.
Okay, thrust. How do they stack up?
Well, the Rafale reportedly has significantly more thrust, and that translates directly into, better performance.
More agility, right. Better energy in a turn. That's crucial for close-in fighting, the within visual range stuff, dogfights.
Exactly. More energy, more options. Now, sticking with WVR, the missiles matter hugely.
Big difference there, too.
Seems so. The Rafale carries the Mica IR for short range, and analysts often describe that as, generations ahead of the PL-8 or PL-9 missiles the J-10C might carry. It's a big deal in a visual fight.
Okay, so advantage Rafale in the close-in fight, potentially.
Right.
What about beyond visual range, BVR? How do the radars compare? That's key for seeing the enemy first.
Again, reports suggest the Rafale's radar is technologically a step ahead. Greater detection range, people talk about over 200 kilometers.
Wow, okay.
And it supposedly has better automatic target prioritization, just more advanced. Helps the pilot manage the situation.
And the J-10C's radar?
It's considered good, an ESA radar, but potentially a limiting factor for its own long-range missiles. You need the radar to really make the missile work at its maximum range.
Speaking of long-range missiles, the J-10C carries the PL-15. That's got a very long range, right?
Yeah.
Over 200 kilometers, similar on paper to the Rafale's Meteor.
It does. The PL-15 has an impressive stated range, but like we said, its actual effectiveness relies heavily on the launch aircraft's radar, seeing and tracking that target far out. The Meteor missile on the Rafale, though.
Yeah. What about the Meteor?
It's widely, almost universally considered the best BVR air-to-air missile out there right now. Unarguably top tier.
So Rafale seems to have the edge in WVR and BVR weapons tech, plus the radar to back it up. What else? Electronic warfare? That's huge these days.
Absolutely critical. And yes, the Rafale is known for its very sophisticated integrated electronic warfare suite. It's called Spectra. That's a major part of its capability and also its cost.
The cost. Let's talk numbers. Big gap.
Oh, massive. You're looking at roughly $130 million US for one Rafale, give or take.
Okay. And the J-10C?
Around $35 million. So yeah, almost 4 times cheaper. That's a huge factor for any Air Force budget.
Definitely. And finally, what about actual combat? Has the J-10C flown in anger?
As far as public information goes, no. It hasn't seen combat action.
Where's the Rafale?
The Rafale has quite a bit of combat experience. Mali, Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Syria. It's been used operationally quite extensively by France. That provides a level of, proven performance.
Okay, so let's quickly wrap this up. It sounds like, generally speaking, the Rafale comes out ahead on thrust, agility, both short and long-range missiles, radar tech, electronic warfare. Yeah. But it costs vastly more. And it's battle-proven.
That's a fair summary. The J-10C offers a modern capability at a much more accessible price point, but maybe with some compromises in those key performance areas compared to the absolute top end, like the Rafale.
So it really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? When a country chooses one over the other, what does that decision really signal about their strategic priorities versus, the hard limits of their national budget?
Exactly. It's that constant balancing act between capability, cost, and strategic necessity. A fascinating dilemma.